So the EMA wrote draft guidance on Duchenne, and that was about last spring, and they posted it for public comment. And what followed there is really the community sort of got together and said, what do we think of this draft guidance? Is it useful draft guidance? What are the pieces that we really appreciate and think that's exactly right? And what are the pieces that we think maybe they didn't get this piece right? And so one of the pieces that we felt they didn't get right is in that first draft guidance by the EMA, they sort of said you can measure strength and function equally. Well, actually you can't, because in Duchenne, it's a progressive debilitating disease where muscle fibers are undergoing degeneration, inflammatory responses come in. So there's this turnover that occurs. And so as children are losing muscle, they may, for instance, if they're ambulatory and they're still losing muscle, they're losing strength. But they might not stop walking until sort of that critical piece of muscle fibers go down, right? So strength and function can't be measured the same. So because sometimes you are losing strength, but you still maintain function. And so they weren't equals in terms of a clinical trial, and we wanted to impress on them that that's not true. So and they had to rethink that. So what occurred from there is there was a meeting in London in the summer of last year, of 2013, and we brought experts together to talk on their particular areas. So there are 4 distinct areas in that meeting. One was unmet need. And this is really gets back into benefit risk. What is the unmet need? How does this affect parents? What are their priorities? So that was the first session. The second session was natural history. What do we know about the natural history of this? Can we predict anything? What do we know about these boys? The third session was about dystrophin and looking at the protein replacement. And the third was extrapolation. So, I should say the fourth session was extrapolation. So the fourth session asked the question, if a trial is conducted in a narrow subset of the population because your outcome measure is ambulatory. So we'll say, for the purpose of the conversation, we're talking about 8-year-olds with Duchenne who can perform this outcome measure. And so perhaps that demonstrates a 30-meter difference, which the EMA and the FDA have suggested that would be significant in terms of proof benefit. But the question of extrapolation is, if this is the population you studied, where the label of the drug just say 8-year-olds with Duchenne, this drug applies to 8-year-olds with Duchenne, knowing that there's little boys with a genetic disease that could likely benefit, and in our sort of mindset, the earlier you intervene, the more likely you have a better outcome, as well as older boys whose arms are still working, or maybe just their fingers are working. And we wanted to say it's really important, even if you have a few muscle fibers left and those muscle fibers allow you to move your fingers, use your computer, communicate with the outside world, that's still important. So we wanted to talk about extrapolation so that the label would be broadened.